what we need in order to have a meaningful spiritual journey. In other words, how can we experience beautiful growth like those flowers that you saw a moment ago? Back in December, Reverend Lorena asked me to speak today. And after I said that I would do it, in the same text message, she asked me to speak next month, in March. Right. And my initial reaction was no. I just said no. I said no. I can't do that. I'm not going to know what to say. No one's going to want to hear from me 4 weeks later. I have another event planned that weekend. It's going to be too close in time. I'm not going to have time to prepare to make it perfect. So I texted back, I have something to do. I can't do it. And in true Reverend Lorena fashion, as if she heard my thoughts, she totally called me out. Totally called me out in the text the next day. I woke up in the morning because she likes to give you morning texts and they're really long. So, yeah, y'all know. So she texted me. I woke up and I was like, oh, and she called me out. But it was so gentle and so loving. And she basically told me not to stand in that fear. And I thank you for pushing me and making me step out and not letting me sit in that fear. So thank you.
I just reminded you of your...
So after I read her long text, I said, okay, I'll do it. But I was still uneasy about it. And so I said, I just need to go meditate. And so when I say meditate, I really mean I'm gonna go take a shower. Because when I shower, I get like the most profound insight in the shower. So I'm in the shower. Literally, I have my hand like this. And I was obsessing about like, oh my God, I said yes, but I don't know if I can do it. Oh my God, I started planning. And Spirit said, and I quote, calm down. You're going to do a 2-part talk. And I was like, all right. And then I just went on. And I was like, okay, well, that kind of just shut that right down. And so I knew, okay, it's going to be a 2-part talk. Calm down. So I waited. And I was like, okay, so when are they going to give me this 2-part talk topic? Because this is new for me. And so in January, I was creating a social media post, and I was looking through some old pictures that I had taken on a recent trip abroad. So as I looked at this one picture of some colorfully landscaped flowers, this is in Viña del Mar, Chile, that I was in December. It's in the middle of a busy tourist park. I know you can't see it, but tour buses pull up and people are constantly walking around this place. Yeah, it was just this nice little flower bed, and it really caught my eye with this little globe there. And I thought 2 things to myself when I saw this picture, when I was looking at it again in January. I said, these flowers must really be tended to and watered really well for them to look like that. They must get the right nutrients. And the second thing I thought was they were blooming so brightly where they were planted, despite what was going on around them in the middle of this busy center. So long story short, I created the post and I moved on, didn't think about it back in January. However, a few weeks ago, when I was thinking about what I was going to talk about, this post came to mind, along with the 2 things that I thought to myself when I was creating the post. And then I remembered Spirit did say I was going to have a 2-part talk. So I knew I'd been given the rough outline of what I was going to talk about. So I took these 2 thoughts and applied them to my own spiritual journey. How could I experience beautiful growth? And how could I maintain my bloom irrespective of everything that was going on around me. So I was thinking about those two things, and I was like, okay, thank you, Spirit, so much for giving me the rough outline of what I was going to talk about in those two thoughts. But then I thought to myself in true Udoka fashion, getting a rough outline is really, really good, but I need details. And those of you who know me, I need details. Well, I want details. I like details. They make me feel secure, so I know what I'm doing, so I can try to control everything, because I'm a control freak. Am I the only one who's a control freak, or am I? Okay, so, all right, okay. So, I wanted more beyond this rough outline. So I'm waiting for Spirit to give me more. And then last week, I think to indulge me, Spirit gave me just a little morsel. So I was talking to a spiritual colleague, and he mentioned the hypothesis by Galileo during our discussion about spiritual growth. And when he mentioned this hypothesis, I instinctively just jotted it down because I didn't remember learning it at all when I was in elementary school. And I can honestly say I didn't care about science when I was in elementary school, so it doesn't surprise me that I don't remember this hypothesis. But anyway, later that week, I did some research and found exactly what he was referring to. And after I went over it, I was like, that ties into the very two thoughts that I had when I looked at that flower. So I was like, got it. This is the detail that I've been looking for. So I really appreciated Spirit dropping that little nugget in. So the overarching theme of both of my talks is understanding your soul's journey. So part one today is going to cover this: what we need in order to have a meaningful spiritual journey. In other words, how can we experience beautiful growth like those flowers that you saw a moment ago? Now, in case you don't know this about me, I tend to nerd out when I notice spirituality substantiating things that are sciencey, things that occur in everyday, logical, real world. Like the flower story. Or like metaphysics and our bodies. So just as our bodies are intelligently designed to sustain us biologically, they are also intelligently designed to inform us spiritually. In fact, I'll be doing a workshop on the 14th about your body and what it tells you and things like that. So I'll be posting information about that, so keep an eye on that. So anyway, when I saw the picture that I showed you a bit ago, it spoke to me. It was an everyday flower garden here on the earth plane, but it totally expanded my mind and allowed me to meditate and create a concept. And this concept is, just as flowers needed the right nutrients and a good landscaper, similarly, we need the right nutrients in the form of the thoughts we're feeding ourselves. And we need good landscapers in the form of having a supportive tribe. So I think of the thoughts we feed ourselves as nutrients for our soul, and I love how Reverend Lorena actually mentioned that in her talk, so it's perfect. So we've all heard the adage that our thoughts create our reality. And despite this, we let other people's thoughts create a reality that we take on as our own. To be prioritized on what we feel in our gut is true for us. So remember a bit ago I mentioned how our bodies have metaphysical functions that mirror biological functions. Well, our gut breaks down food and absorbs nutrients that supports our bodily functions. And our gut is also the part of the system that makes up our solar plexus, our third chakra. And that's a spiritual energetic center where we process thoughts from the world about our personal realities and then absorb them into our spiritual system as beliefs that inform our experience on the earth plane. I like to say that processing and absorbing thoughts that aren't your own is like physically eating, let's say, your pet guinea pig's food that has no nutritional value for your own human body, yet somehow expecting to be full and wondering why you're still hungry. It's the same thing. When we wonder why stomach issues and digestion issues are such a prevalent problem in our society today, right? Sadly, we've been socialized not to believe in ourselves. but to look outside of us for validation about our thoughts, our beliefs, our capabilities, and our abilities. Imagine if we believed in ourselves 100%. That would mean we would trust our own intuition. We wouldn't feel the need to control or be controlled, which means we could express ourselves freely, which means that a societal hierarchy could not be formed because we would see each other as equals, and as equals have love and respect for each other, which means we would support and honor each other as we traveled along our own unique paths in this lifetime. Believing yourself and feeding yourself the right thoughts are keys to true spiritual awakening. But we also can't forget that making sure we cultivate the right support system is just as important. So I came across something that basically said recently, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its entire life believing it is stupid.
Wow.
I'm gonna say that one more time. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its entire life believing it is stupid. Sometimes other people's realities, i.e. their strong desire to see and judge you as a fish, can leave you feeling completely inadequate, doubting your skills, second-guessing your decisions, and in the worst case, regretting your very existence on this earth plane. It's in times like this that our tribe, what I call our spiritual landscapers, are so important. And you're probably wondering, I've never heard that term, spiritual landscapers, because I made it up last night when I was writing this, so just go with it.
Very well said.
Yeah, So anyway, so these are people who, in our midst, remind us who we really are at our core. These are people who water us and bring us back to life when we run out of juice, push us when we stop growing and might stagnate, prune us so that we can release and make space for new things to grow, give us guidance so we know where to plant our roots, support us by turning our face towards the sun when we wilt from the pressures of life. These are our spiritual landscapers. And this begs the question, who have you brought in to support you? Who have you brought in to support you? Now I want everyone to close your eyes for just a moment and put one hand on your heart and one hand on your solar plexus and feel and breathe. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Now continue to breathe and feel. And in your mind's eye, look down and see your spiritual pathway below your feet. Now take your gaze behind you to see the path that you've been journeying on. What does it look like? Are there weeds growing amid your pathway? Is your soil dry and cracked? Are there branches hanging low up ahead or bushes growing out that could possibly block your path moving forward? What does your path look like? Now take another deep breath in. Exhale and open up your eyes. Now some of you just realized that you need new landscapers. Just now. Just came to you. But since accountability is an essential part of spiritual growth, don't get mad at your landscapers falling down to the job. Don't get mad, because you hired them, after all. Because we are responsible for who we let landscape for us. And you know what? Some will do the best that they can, but they have a limited supply of nutrients. in the form of outdated thought patterns. They use tools that are damaged from traumas that they experienced in their own life. We must take care to hire only the best landscapers for our own individual gardens. Remember, we are all unique flowers that deserve the best nourishment so that we can bloom as brightly as possible. Our goal should be to surround ourselves with other unique growing flowers and create a vibrant, colorful garden that reflects God's beauty back into the world. So who would have known that a simple random picture that I took of colorful flowers in early December in Chile would be the beginning basis of a talk 3 months later. Spirit knew that too. So I hope you'll join me next month on the 22nd for part 2 to hear me tie in Galileo's hypothesis of how existing conditions can determine trajectory and answer the question of how can we continue to steadily progress in spite of life circumstances? In other words, tying it back to the flowers, how can we maintain our bloom when we are planted in less than optimal conditions? Thank you guys so much.